Call this meeting to order. First item, roll call.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Headley.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Stratton.
Here.
Alderman Cotton.
Yeah.
There's a quorum.
Next item, invocation by Pastor Wayne here, First Baptist Church, and pledge of allegiance by Alderman Cleaver.
Can you bow with me, please? Father, we thank you for your great love and mercy you bestowed upon us. We know that during this very difficult, confusing time, there are many people who are struggling with anxiety, looking at the future. Father, we're thankful that you are there, that you care. We ask for your peace and providence on all who are going through difficult times. We ask for your peace during this time in our city. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. We acknowledge you as the source of all great blessings. May your peace and providence prevail over our time together. Give us wisdom and strength, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, approval of agenda.
No changes here.
Proclamations, seeing none. Move on to citizen participation. If anyone would like to speak, please come up to the podium, give your name, address, and limit your comments to 2 minutes, please.
We have a podium. Glad to talk without a podium. Oh, I got you. I put my notes on. How's the board doing? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Schaefer, 1006 Southwest Shore, Green Valley, Missouri. I'm here tonight to request the city look at the sewer at 31603 East Bryan Road. It is my understanding that the house at that location is not hooked up to the city sewer, even though they have been located in the city limits for years, and there is a sewer line within distance for them to hook up to. I personally don't feel that it is right for the other people who live in Green Valley to hold the burden of paying for upgrades and improvements to the sewer system when there's a house like this one who could also be paying towards that as well. It is my understanding that once the city requests that a house be hooked up to the city sewer, that they have a certain time frame to do so. If the city doesn't feel that it's appropriate for the house to be hooked up to the city sewer, then I request that I am able to unhook from the city sewer and install a septic system of my own. And I have a copy of the ordinance, if you all want a copy, read a copy of it. Any questions?
Arnold.
Yes.
No. I'll get there. Just a minute. Hopefully it's just gonna work up to next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
How long has this been like this, or do you know, or?
Well, approximately, we're guessing 15, 16 years. Rough guess, maybe longer.
Scott, do you know, is this property, is it considered city property? Is it considered agricultural, and is it in county? What's?
It's in the city, but it's considered agricultural, and that's another issue I have with this property. But unfortunately, I haven't had time to investigate that because of my work hours, and I'll be coming back to you with that later date. There's a lot of ands, ifs, and buts about this land, and I've been looking into it, and I've had several different stories of why it has not been hooked up, and so, but, the past is the past. The sewer line's within 100 feet of the property, and the ordinance clearly states that they should be tied into our sewer system. So I'm here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question. So,
No.
for, staff, like, Ken, has this been anything you guys have been, do you have anything to add that we might need to know?
No, I mean, we have it's nothing that we've gone after. We do have what we think is a comprehensive list of all the parcels that are like that. I mean, basically, you get into those situations when you annex land in and it's already got a house on it, it's a larger lot, and nothing new is built, so they're not usually connected, they're just kind of piecemealed around the city, and as the city grew, those parcels came in during voluntary annexation, but it doesn't look like it's been hooked up.
But you're saying it should have been?
It can be.
I'm sorry?
So, I mean, if the city requests that, then I think what is before you is where that comes into play. That's not something that I feel is on a staff level to go back and do. I think something like that would have to be directed.
The school's hooked up, and the school's right behind this property.
The school is, yes.
And houses on either side.
Sewer, yeah. The water south of there is District 17.
Is there normally any grandfathering in this when property is brought in like that?
No, I think that, I mean, we didn't write the code, but I think the point of the code is when you have land that comes in like that, a lot of times there's not a sewer anywhere close. So the triggers in these is when a sewer does become available within a certain number of feet, then you're supposed to hook up at that point. If it's asked if you wait 60 or 90 days, something like that. But that's why the code is in there, is because a lot of times there wasn't a city sewer that was, within a reasonable distance to expect somebody to hook up.
Joe, do you have anything, like, any advice or any?
I don't have, I mean, I'm not gonna provide legal advice in an open meeting, so we can take a look at it if that's what the board wants me to do, but I won't be able to comment on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Anyone else? No further citizens' comment, consent agenda?
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Have a motion from Alderman Headley to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Knox. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Previous business.
We have B&B Theater's liquor license, up for the second presentation tonight. Chief Steele reviewed it by the last meeting, and everything was in order except for the liquor serving cards. I can defer to him if he's received anything back on that, but everything else is in order except for the county license, which hopefully they'll have soon.
Can you move the speaker a little closer to you, Chief?
Because this is a new establishment with liquor licenses, I'm giving them 90 days in order to get their bartenders certified through the process we put in place, which is the liquor cards. That process, the background itself takes about 30 days to get the background on them, and then we'll issue them liquor cards to be able to serve. I'm going to suspend that until we get the background and stuff back. We're going to let them go ahead and proceed until then.
Are we ready for a motion or anything on this then, or okay, would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Headley to approve the liquor license for B&B Theaters. No?
We need to state the motion is to approve the liquor license.
Oh,
I move we approve the liquor license as discussed.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley to approve the liquor license discussed. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Bass, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. New business? First order of business, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I move we, I'd like to nominate Shay as Alderman Bass as Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to appoint Alderman Bass as Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, no, not discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Do we need a second on this? Okay. Also, a couple changes on the Alderman assignment, or one change on the Alderman assignment on the small business liaison for the partnership. Appointing, that was held by Alderman West. I'm appointing Alderman Knox to that. Other boards will all remain the same. Then for new business, food truck license. I understand you've taken a quick study on what other cities are doing for costs.
I did look at some surrounding cities along with New Ozenbaugh, and it's across the board. There is not one thing that is exactly the same, except no other city requires peddler and solicitor permits like we do. Right now, we require the peddler solicitor and then a business license in addition. So that was something no one else requires. Some cities have a separate code, 100% separate, where they lay out where the trucks can be, if it's a cart, if it's a truck, they get really detailed. One does not even allow it. And then they go anywhere from $50 up to $100 plus. For example, the city of Raytown does either $40 a day, or they go up to $260 a year. Another one is $75 plus 31 cents for everything over $1,000 up to $25,000. Like, they get really, really detailed. Some are just $50 plus another $50 for each special event that they do. So it's kind of, we need some direction on this as it is across the board, how you guys would like to handle that, since we decided to waive during the summer on how to handle those for the Food Truck Fridays. So just going forward, so we can get something together for you guys.
So that's already been waived for this year and
Just for the Food Truck Fridays, through August 7th, I believe.
Yeah, so it's just on Fridays from that 4 to 9, goes for either 8 or 10.
And then our business license too is $35 a year, and these all start at $50.
Okay. Are we currently charging the business licenses now?
So
The trucks
the ones
that-
that we can, that we know of that are actually coming, we've sent the stuff to them. Not for that event, but for the rest of them. One of the problems that we've had without having anything completely outlined in the code, well, two things. One, they tend to come when there's nobody around, not during the day nothing that specifically addresses food trucks, code, it's just kind of lumped in. So what we had kind of discussed at the, when we talked about waiving the fees there, was do we want to go to one of those, types of setups where we have two options, you can pay X amount of dollars for the year, or if you think you're only gonna be here a couple times, you can pay, instead of $50 for a year, just throwing these numbers out, it's not what we're doing. You can pay, $30 for one time, or something to that effect. So I think those are kind of some of the things that, we had a little bit of direction, we can, work on getting that goes back to you guys.
I'd say keep it simple as possible, and maybe look at what other cities have in their code relative to where the trucks park, not right next to a brick and mortar restaurant or things like that.
And that is something that I know some of them have gotten into on, it's one thing if it's private property, but, then are they allowed on streets, are they allowed on streets for a limited amount of time? So I think it's pretty much about as deep as you want to take it, that works. So I guess on the fee side, are you interested in us doing, one for the year and then kind of more of a one-off, do you have options or?
Yes, I agree.
I kinda like that idea.
A year and one off.
I personally think that, there ought to be a per event fee. I mean, our local businesses can't open up every day they open up, they pay a fee. Whether it's their employees, whatever, and we're providing these trucks parking, I believe we're providing garbage disposal and tables for them.
Well, so keep in mind, this isn't gonna be, that's just that event, that was kind of like a test, this would be more.
But I think this has to address this event though, if this is events to be ongoing.
Isn't that though what you meant by a per day charge and a yearly, like, they could have an option of going, each, a per charge for one day, or meaning the Friday that they're here, or they could choose to do a yearly, because some of the trucks, it's not just Food Truck Friday, some of them are up in Rosewood Hills. Their HOA hires some of the trucks to come in, I don't know how many nights a week that's happening, but it isn't just,
Yeah, that was kind of more, I guess, what I was looking at and getting from you guys is that, you can have a big amount for a year and you just pay your flat fee up front if you think you're gonna be here quite a few times, or you can just basically pay by the day or.
Well, I agree if there's a substantial fee. I don't agree an annual fee of $35 that we're currently charging for brick and mortar businesses they're paying everything else. Our brick and mortar businesses are employing our people, they're paying taxes here every day, they have an investment in the community. The people who are just coming in, we need to put them on somewhat of a level playing field, where they're coming in and paying a fair share to be here. That's why I think we should do, at the very least, either a substantial annual fee for them or an event fee.
well, I have a brick and mortar here, and my business license is $35.
I understand. And you're paying your taxes here, you're paying property taxes?
Well, but the trucks would also pay taxes.
They pay sales tax.
Yes.
They don't pay property taxes.
Right.
Our brick and mortar business have an investment here, and we're hurting their investment when we're bringing in competition for them and not making them put them on a level playing field.
I disagree a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that too, Chuck. If you have them up in Rosewood Hills per se, they're not hurting any of our brick and mortar, businesses. It's not like they're camping out in a food truck and gonna be there 5 or 6 days a week, so.
And the Mexican restaurant has had more business than they've ever had. The other way I look at it too is, with my business, I can't come to the board and ask that there be no more salons brought into town. There's never a limit on how many of a business can be in town, so I don't know that it's fair to target them because they have a different type of business just because it's not brick and mortar.
Would you be content if a hair salon come in and put a trailer in on the city parking lot and started doing hair down there?
Well, they can't get licensing for that. There's too many regulations, but, I also have a boutique, and there's people running boutiques out of their homes all over the place, and
I just feel we need to protect our city businesses. And when anyone's buying food anywhere, it's taken away from other business where they're, you know, they're buying it from a food truck, another location, whatever. Those people would be buying, whether it's from the food from Price Chopper that they'll make themselves, or whether it's buying from one of the local pizzas establishments, one of the other Mexican places, whatever. They are eating and they're not spending their money at our businesses that could be getting that revenue.
So disagree.
Well, the Mexican restaurant is definitely improved
So
within there.
That's one business.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, if we, because it sounds like maybe there is consensus to go with two options on costs, maybe for a year and the per time. Is that, I know you said you want to make sure that the difference is enough, but assuming that that's the case, is that the approach that we want to take with it?
How do you police the event one at a time?
So it's not, we say event, but it's probably more like a day,
Well, like the Rosewood Hills, I mean, if they're only have to pay for an event when they come in and they go up to Rosewood Hills on Saturday night for a block party, how do you?
I think those are privately purchased, like for a block party. I mean, so I do know somebody who has hired a truck to come in, and she had to pay for everything up front, so that wasn't,
yeah, it is, but
that might be different.
yeah, it's still a
Is it
business,
same?
we still have to have it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it's gonna take everyone actually paying attention, and we're probably gonna have to enlist patrols to just keep an eye on, hey, if you see this, and honestly, Facebook has been the way we've seen half of it, the advertising coming.
Blue Springs has a codes enforcement or someone that goes out there that actually collects and gives them a permit for events.
So, I mean, I think those things we can probably work through.
If the board wants staff to draft a policy, which it does kind of sound like you guys would be at least interested in seeing some options, and then you might be able to debate the details of that. We could prepare an ordinance for you that you know, we kind of feel like would be something that would make sense for the city, like try to present you with something that we feel like you guys could feel good about saying is in the best interest of the city, and then you could work out the details. And then once it's in place, from an enforcement standpoint, you know, that's something that staff can carry out. Like I've seen cities, if they do this event ordinance, they'll have like a surprise color for, you know, what they'll actually give them a printout of the license for that event, and it'll, you know, might be plaid, it might be lime green, it might, you know, and that way it's difficult for somebody to come along and then, you know, and then if you can obviously treat the year ones differently, and so, you know, the way you've got the setup so that you can ensure that everybody's doing correctly.
Yeah, but don't you think it's possible that some of these trucks are trying to find out if our area would do good for buying their product in a stationary?
There are some that are doing it for that reason.
Then they shouldn't be opposed to. I just want to see a level playing field. I don't like seeing our businesses be, you know, someone coming in and not having to subject to somewhat the same fees that they are. Like I said, between insurances, everything else, a business can't open up a day business without costing themselves $100. Something along that line. I can't see any reason why a food truck should be able to come out here, make money off our citizens, run out and spend the money elsewhere.
All right, well, we'll work on putting something together and get that to you.
I do have one question real quick. Jamie, you had mentioned that there were a few other surrounding towns or cities that had annual fees. What did those go up to? $250 you said for an annual fee? 300 and something?
Raytown does $260 a year. Grandview goes up to $100 a year. Minimum of 75 in Independence. Overland Park, which I realize is Kansas, they do $100 for their food trucks.
Are those events or those annual?
Just to come in and do it. And then a lot of these cities, their events, like Blue Springs, for example, they have their Fall Fun Fest. They have the Fun Fest they have to be part of an event to be able to come in. So, like if we had the fair here, they could come in under the fair and not do a separate license. They would fall under that event. So some of the cities do that.
I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. That's an annual fee or that's a per event fee?
That's it.
Annual.
Annual.
Those are annual. And then the per day ones are much smaller, but it could be $15 plus $10 a day, but they have a list. You can only be there so many days. $40 a day in another spot. Most of them do the annual though.
Need to make sure we get some input from the chamber.
Sorry?
Need to get some input from the partnership on this ordinance.
Okay. No further discussion? Move on to presentations, seeing none. Public hearings, seeing none. We'll move on to ordinances.
Mayor, I move to make the second reading by title only for Bill 20-15, making it ordinance 2508.
Have a motion from Alderman Headley, making, bill number 2015, B 2015, ordinance number 2508. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Second from Alderman Stratton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Or wait, we need a roll call vote.
Mayor, I think, so if I understood the motion correctly, it seems like we may have skipped a step. It should be a motion for the second reading, if I'm not mistaken, and then we would do a motion to accept the second reading and approve the bills and ordinance.
Yeah, I'm just reading off the card here, making the reading by title only for.
Okay, so second reading by title only.
Making it ordinance 2508, and after the second reading, we move to accept it.
Okay, so I'm just accepting his
Yeah, I'm
motion
sorry, I
there.
only heard the second part. I missed the first part on the,
All right.
on the second reading.
So do we need a vote? We need a vote.
Yes.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries
It-
6-0.
This is, second reading of bill number B 20-15, an ordinance by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an easement agreement with Habitat Missouri LLC for the conveyance of the Blue Branch Creek Trail easement to the city.
Mayor, I move we accept the second reading of Bill B 20-15, making it ordinance 2508.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the second reading of, bill number B 2015, making it, ordinance number 2508. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Stratton, second. Now do you want a roll call vote? Okay, roll call vote, please. Alderman, Cleaver, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Alderman Knox?
Mayor, this is, the clerk usually calls the roll on that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Headley,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
Alderman Totten.
Yes.
6-0, the, ordinance is approved.
Mayor, I move we accept, Mayor, I move we make the second reading by title only for Bill B 20-16, making it ordinance 2509.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley making for a second read by title only, for bill number B 20-16. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, this is the second reading of bill number B 20-16, an ordinance approving the final plat of Rosewood Hills 10th plat.
Mayor, I move we accept the second reading for Bill 20-16, making it ordinance 2509.
I have a motion to approve the second reading for bill number B 2016, making it ordinance 2509. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Roll call vote.
Alderman Bass.
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver.
Yes.
Alderman Headley.
Yes.
Alderman Knox.
Yes.
Alderman Stratton.
Yes.
Alderman Totten.
Yes.
6-0, Mayor, that ordinance is approved.
Mayor, I move we make a second reading by title only for Bill B 20-17, making it ordinance 2510.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley for bill number B 20-17, by title only. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Mayor, this is the second reading of bill number B 20-17, an ordinance approving the final plat of Rosewood Hills, 9th plat, Phase A, Tract C1.
Mayor, I move we accept second reading of Bill B 20-17, making it ordinance 2510.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley to approve the second reading of bill B 20-17, making ordinance number 2510. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. A roll call,
Alderman Bass.
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver.
Yes.
Alderman Headley.
Yes.
Alderman Knox.
Yes.
Alderman Stratton.
Yes.
Alderman Totten.
Yes.
6-0, the ordinance is approved, Mayor.
okay. No further ordinances. Moving on to resolutions.
Mayor, I move we approve resolution R 20-36.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley to approve resolution R 20-36. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Knox. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is the yearly, our yearly share of the CJC Emergency Management Association dues. It's later in the year than normal, but this was a budgeted expense. This is our share of the remaining organization.
What is our share?
$14,333.
Does the police department get this type of thing too?
Well, this is citywide. This is the entire city of Green Valley's portion. Actually, Chief Beal is our representative on the unit.
Okay.
No further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Resolution carries 6-0.
Mayor, I move we approve resolution R 20-37.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley to approve, resolution R 20-37. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, if you've heard on the news about the money that Jackson County got from the federal CARES Act, this would be our share of that. So basically everything in Jackson County, it went to them, and then they're distributing it out to the city based on population. So our share of that is $865,728. So there was, the amount changed a little bit, so there is an error that needs to be modified in this resolution. It just says $865,000 even, so it'll be $865,728. And then the actual resolution itself, unanticipated COVID expenses is the line that changes, so that will go up to $5,324. But basically, there are a number of things that the city can get reimbursed for during this pandemic. So we've broken that out into a few categories here: administration, citizen relief, facility upgrades, substantial personnel costs, law enforcement side of it, supplies, technology, and unexpected expenses. So this is the breakdown that we submitted to the county, the agreement is in there with it, but I'm assuming that past that, send that back over to the county, and we will get a lump sum payment. Included in this is the cost of a single audit.
If it's over $750,000, which would be the requirement that it would be audited then, from the federal level.
Any
How
further?
are we prepared?
How are we prepared? I would like to think fairly well compared to, some others out there.
What happens if we don't spend the money? I mean, it goes into a bucket. Have we already incurred costs because of COVID-19?
Yeah, so we have incurred some, so even like the front door system, when you walk in, that's something that originally we thought it was only gonna be things like that. So the number was gonna be a lot smaller on what we'd be able to get. And then the determination was made that things like salaries for, first responders or the essential workers or something that could count. Obviously that kind of balloons that number up a little bit. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you don't have it spent or at least committed by December 30th, then, that money would have to go back. So in some ways, it's kind of a use it or lose it kind of a scenario.
So does that offset?
So in theory, it's not to make up for lost revenue. Practically, you know, police salaries are paid out of the general fund with sales tax, and that also is, you know, one of the big contributors to that fund. So it, even though it's not technically making up for lost revenue, and in some ways it's covering some of those costs. Because it was anything from, I believe, March 30th to the end of the year. So it's some things we've already paid for, and it's predicting what the expenses are gonna be for the rest of the year.
I guess my question is, the money that we'd be getting, let's say, for the salaries for first responders, that would normally come out of the general fund.
Yes.
We would pay that either way. This covers that. Do we just leave our money in the general fund then? Is that what?
Yes, yeah.
Protects us ultimately.
Yeah, and I mean, reality is, you know, our revenues are gonna be down some, more than likely, so, you know, it's not gonna be what we had budgeted for to start with anyway.
No further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
We have ambulances and stuff to get them to the hospital if they need to go.
Those will be provided by, Central Jackson County. That's not, so that's, the city doesn't have an ambulance.
Well, I know, I mean, this is the thing I'm concerned about, when I listened to all of the, they didn't have beds in hospitals, they didn't have, how are we making sure we are taking care of everything?
Well, I mean, we're taking care of the things that we have control over.
Okay.
You know, through this program too, that things like, UKC or other entities, you know, are going after some of those same dollars. This is just the part that's been allotted to us.
Okay. Move on to city attorney's report.
Mayor, members of the board, just the only thing to report is kind of a repeat from previously. We still have our final city officials training conference coming up. Again, this is at Midwest Public Risk Facility. It's on July 31st. We start our registration at 8:30 in the morning, little continental breakfast, and then start the training session at 9. Serve lunch around noon, and then we break around 2 o'clock. It's pretty comprehensive. It covers a lot of areas. For those of you who've been there before, you'll remember that. I believe we've got several folks already registered, but again, if you're interested in registering for that, we take registrations up until I think the Wednesday before. We have to lock down the food, so we know what we're providing for from that standpoint. But that's all I've got.
City administrator and staff report.
Mr. Craig has on the report of the night, and Mr. Drozen submitted a written report.
Good evening. The water and sewer customers now have a new payment method available through an automated pay by phone system. They can call a toll-free number and use a credit or debit card to pay 24 hours a day. They do have access to their real-time balances, due dates, and some of their payments amounts. There's also a text-to-pay option, which is another method that they may use and set up. Notifications of this new payment method will be included in the upcoming bills for both water and sewer cycles. And that is all that I have for my report.
Is there a surcharge for the credit card?
There is not. Not to the customer. There is an 85-cent cost to the city to use that when they pay. That's the same as when someone pays online through the website, if they do a website transaction. So, and of course, there also is the transaction fees that we pay to the credit card companies for that.
Board of Aldermen, reports and comments. Alderman Bass.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing at this time?
Alderman Headley.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Knott.
Nothing this time.
Alderman Stratton. Alderman Totten.
Oh, I do. This week has been race week down at the racetrack. There were people there from Canada, California, and all that. But the thing that makes me proud is when a family come up and told me how impressed they were with this little town, how clean and courteous everybody was to them while they were visiting. And I really enjoyed that one. I just wanted to share it with you.
Mayor's report, I have no comment at this time. Is there a need for an executive session?
No.
Seeing no need for executive session, meeting's adjourned.